Mark Bittman is he's a progressive. He writes for the op-ed pages of the New York Times. And he's talking about how food, the situation with food, farming, factory farming, destruction of soil, 30, 40, 50,000 people getting sick from foodborne illness, all that stuff, across the United States is a symptom that something has gone horribly wrong. We have a food system in the United States that is producing an epidemic of obesity, an epidemic of type 2 diabetes, an epidemic of heart disease, an epidemic of celiac and IBS, and with a large debate about what's causing that and whether it has to do with glyphosate or other compounds. We have a food system that's failing us. It's destroying our soil, but it is making a small number of people mind-bogglingly rich. You get people like Joni Ernst, the new senator from, Iowa, I think, whose family took almost $500,000 in subsidies from the federal government. So you got farmers who are doing well. You've got a bunch of farmers in Congress who are pulling down hundreds of thousands, in some cases millions of dollars in subsidies from the federal government for their various businesses, many of them agricultural. But even worse, you've got, Walmart has now moved into groceries. The Walton family is getting richer on this. So the question then becomes, why do we grow food? Just as a starting point. There's really you could say a relatively choice. There's obviously some gray area in the middle, but as a statement of purpose, as a country, why do we grow food? Most of us would say we grow food so that we can have a decent life, so we can live. Food is necessary for survival. But if that's true, then why is so much of the American food supply actually poisonous? It's actually killing us, or sickening us, or preventing us from having optimal health. Why is it so much of our food supply is in such bad shape? And the only possible answer is that we don't produce food in the United States for the public good. If we did, we wouldn't be sterilizing our soil with chemicals. We wouldn't be, contaminating our environment with genetically modified organisms. None of this stuff would be going on if we were producing food for a public good. But we're not producing food for a public good. We're producing food to make money for somebody. This is how twisted things have become in the United States, particularly over the past 30 or 40 years. This is the logical conclusion of the whole Reaganomics thing, that the only good people are the capitalists, the rich people are the ones who are going to lead us, the workers should just take their lot in life and suck it up. And sorry, you can't have a union anymore. Sorry, you can't go to college for free anymore. Sorry, if you lose your job, you don't get any unemployment insurance. This has been the Republican mantra for 35 years now, and they're putting it on steroids. Now it's sorry, in a year and a half, we just put this into place. The Republicans did in the House of Representatives. In about a year and a half, a 19% cut in Social Security disability insurance that people paid into their entire lives. Republicans want to cut that. Why would they want to cut it? Well, for the same reason that they cut Medicare so many times. You say, wait a minute, the Republicans cut Medicare? Yeah, of course, they drill holes in Medicare so that then United Healthcare and AARP can come in and say, hey, we'll sell you a supplemental policy to fill that hole that our Republican buddies in the House of Representatives and the Senate drilled into it. They're just going to do the same thing with Social Security. If they cut Social Security benefits by 20%, then they'll say, hey, you could always buy a disability policy from United Healthcare or somebody like that. Actually, IAG sells them. Aren't they wonderful? I mean, we bailed them out. Hey, put them to some productive use. Mark Bittman says, and I absolutely believe with that this sentiment is one of the most important things that we all need to be talking about, that we need to be talking to our politicians about, and that in particular we need to be leaning on Democratic politicians and the Hillary Clinton campaign over, because in all probability she will be the nominee of the Democratic Party. And here's what Bittman says in today's New York Times in the op-ed pages. The article is, "What is the Purpose of Society?" He says, "Progressives are not thinking broadly or creatively enough. By failing to pressure Democrats to take strong stands on everything, from environmental protection to gun control to income inequality, progressives allow the party to use populist rhetoric while making America safer for business than it is for Americans." Why do we have government? Well, according to the Constitution, we, the people, created government in order to form a more perfect union and provide for the general welfare of our people. According to the Declaration of Independence, we did it so that we could all have life, liberty, and we could even pursue happiness. Now, how do you pursue happiness if you're working 3 jobs and making $16,000 a year when you got a couple of kids and you can't afford anything? But it goes beyond that. Mark Bittman says, shouldn't adequate shelter, clothing, food, and health care be universal? This was the essence of Franklin Roosevelt's second Bill of Rights. With his second, which I'll play clips for you when we come back from the break at 20 after, but basically what Franklin Roosevelt said is, okay, we got this thing down about, we're free of England, we're free of foreign domination, and as of 1940, when he came, or 40 year it was that he came up with his second Bill of Rights, as of that point in time, he had even gotten the capitalists under control to a certain extent. He had gotten unions, the right to unionize passed over their objections. He had ended child labor over their objections. He had ended child prostitution over their objections. All these things, they said, oh, it's the right to contract. Right. He was integrating the military. He was just the list goes on and on of the New Deal. Unemployment, long-term unemployment insurance. The government is the employer of last resort. So he says, okay, we've got this stuff under control. What's next? Well, what's next is that food, clothing, and healthcare should be rights.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Now, a right is a very different thing from a privilege. And you and I and the rest of the progressive movement need to begin this conversation loudly.